The moment SmackDown started tonight, we were off to the races. I don't remember the last time a WWE show started off that red hot. We started off with Sami Zayn walking out as your special guest referee. I thought he was going to cut a promo, but then Gunther, he just walked on out, and then so did Cody Rhodes. I could not believe we were starting SmackDown with the title match. I was like legit shocked. I kept waiting for something to happen, but then the bell rang and we had ourselves a match. So let's talk about SmackDown. This is your one take, one shot SmackDown review where I do it immediately following the episode so you get my gut reaction. No cuts, no edits. This is all pure. And if you want to win this belt while we're at it, you can. You see, I'm going to give it away at 30,000 subscribers. I give away a belt every 10,000 subscribers. So comment below and you can win this belt right here. Also, you do got to subscribe. And people, it's not a toy. It's a replica, and you can win. So, yeah, Cody and Gunther, they're going at it. There were a couple times where, Cody's hitting Gunther in the corner, and then Sami, gets him, and he pushes Cody back, and Cody's like, what are you doing? And Sami's just like, I'm being a good guy. I'm a good guy. What do you want? Because Sami Zayn has, he's a friendship with Cody Rhodes, but he's definitely been kind of on the outs with Cody, calling him the golden boy. He gets all the privileges, while Sami Zayn, he gets nothing, and they're kind of been falling out. So Gunther, he was able to pick a stipulation, and he picked a special guest referee, and he figured since Sami was crashing out against Cody, he would pick Sami as his special guest referee. And he thought that Sami was going to do everything in his power to make sure Cody lost, but he was wrong. Now, Sami Zayn was a little on the aggressive side with enforcing the rules with Cody Rhodes, but when the chips were down, Sami enforced the rules with Gunther as well. At one point, Gunther had the figure four on him or something, and he was holding the ropes, and then Sami Zayn stopped Gunther. Gunther's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How could you stop me? And he's like, I'm the referee, man. I'm the referee. Earlier, he did catch that Gunther had his foot under the rope, and Cody got mad about that. But when Sami enforced the rules to Gunther attacked him, and he powerbombed him even, and threw him out of the ring. And then Cody, he makes his comeback, and he says, get me a ref. And then a ref comes out. Gunther and Cody, they keep going at it. So it's like, wow, I could not believe that the match was continuing. I was waiting for Sami Zayn to get up and throw the match out, but he didn't. Eventually, Sami will get up though. Sami does, he resurrects, he gets up, and then when the opportunity arises, he's more mad at Gunther than he is at Cody Rhodes, and he does a fast count. Cody, does a sunset flip or something, and 1, 2, 3, fast count, he wins. So now Gunther's mad, and so is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes did not want to win that way. So, and then Sami's just like, whatever, man, whatever. Referee, I'm the referee. It stands. And it was, this was commercial free. So the moment that TKO was able to cut the commercial, they did. But then when we come back, we're backstage, and it's Sami and Gunther with Nick Aldis. They're all screaming at each other, and Gunther's like, why? I can't believe you. And then Cody's like, oh, this sucks. So then Cody, he runs back to the ring, and he's like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to have ourselves a real winner. I am not winning like that. So, it was very chaotic. It reminded me of the Attitude Era, actually. It was a very Attitude Era-esque start to SmackDown. Unfortunately, the show will steadily get, I wouldn't say it's a bad SmackDown, but it does steadily get mundane, and it will level out. But the first 40 minutes or 30 to 40 minutes of SmackDown tonight were red hot. So Cody's out there, and he's like, come on, let's do this, let's restart it. And then Gunther's backstage, and he attacks Sami Zayn. He attacks Sami Zayn for the fast count, and then he's like, let's go, Nick. And Nick's like, okay, let's go. And so then they start spamming the sleeper hold. Man, I'm telling you, I really think they should have let Gunther actually win the match before he got the fast count, and then throughout the night they could have done the match again as the main event, and then Gunther could have lost the title at the end. So for 2 hours, 3 hours, he actually would have held the title. I think that would have been really, really cool, but they didn't do that. I did like what they did. So we're back, and it's Gunther now versus Cody, match number 2. They're putting sleeper holds on each other, and then eventually Sami just comes and does a haluva kick on Gunther, and it's a disqualification. And it's like, I understand that people were upset, like, oh, screwy finish, but I kind of already knew we were headed towards a triple threat at Crown Jewel. I thought it was like, I'm okay with screwy finishes like this because it really did advance the story and it made sense. You could tell that there was a big overarching storyline here as opposed to, let's just have 2 people fight, but we don't want either to look bad, so we're just going to have a disqualification finish. In my opinion, this was the right use of a screwy finish because, honestly, everybody has a beef with each other now. And then, when the match is over, we have Gunther goes and yells at Nick Aldis, you better make this right. You better make this right. And it's weird that Nick Aldis takes so much lip from Gunther. He takes it from nobody else. Nobody else. He didn't even let Roman talk to him like this, but he lets Gunther. Now, he doesn't get totally punked out by Gunther, but you could tell that Gunther does intimidate Nick on some level. Then we will, I think, we do have Sami Zayn. He'll be talking to Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, and he does smack a water bottle. Water bottles, watch out. Nick Aldis goes to him and he's like, dude, I was the ref. I don't understand. My decision counts. I didn't want to be the ref. You made me the ref and I did my job. I'm still the bad guy, And then eventually Cody will go to him with his hat backwards. He's going to get memed out of that for sure. He goes to Nick and he's like, there's only one way to solve this. I need both of them at Crown Jewel. So Cody Rhodes does it. Now, usually I would say, it's stupid for a champion to want a triple threat because it decreases their odds of winning. However, it's Cody Rhodes and it tracks with his character. He is more worried about honor than he is about the odds. He just knows, he's a Boy Scout, so he just knows that everything's going to be all right in the end. So it does track with his character. So I am not going to voice that concern that I normally would. So now we have that set. We will also, after this match, which was, so good. I loved this storyline and how we got here. I'm really enjoying Sami Zayn. I do like Gunther. I don't feel that they have totally Braun Breakered him yet. I feel there is still some aura of Gunther, but I do wonder when he inevitably doesn't win this feud, where does he go from here? I hope they have something ready for Gunther immediately because he can't just walk off TV after losing this feud. He has to have something that heats him up almost immediately. Or he wins, and that would be cool, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. I kind of hope Sami actually wins at Crown Jewel because that would mean he gets his big title win finally in front of Saudi Arabia. And then we don't have to use the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania next year to give him his title win. That's also in Saudi Arabia, WrestleMania that is. And I'm actually enjoying Sami Zayn right now. I don't like babyface Sami Zayn, but I love the last good guy Sami Zayn. So I'd be okay with it. I would be okay with that. We have, after this match, we will have the MFTs versus Damian Priest and R-Truth. We do have an R-Truth Finn Balor segment where they're talking. Actually, this is after the match. But it doesn't really pertain. It's not much to the match anyways. Damian Priest and Finn Balor. It looks like R-Truth is going to try to get them back on the same page. They are still both baby faces, but Damian Priest is not trusting Finn Balor still. And we had a lot of Judgment Day jokes there. We have the MFTs, Talatunga and Tamatunga. They tell Solo Sikoa to stay back. We don't want you out there because before this, Jacob Fatu had talked to Solo and was like, you need to come back, man. You need to come back. And Solo's like, I'm not coming back, dude. I'm not coming back. And Jacob's like, okay, well, I'm here to make sure that no one interferes with Jay tonight, but you need to come back. And then when he leaves, the MFT say, dude, you just stay here because we don't want none of the Bloodline. We're going for the tag team titles. Bloodline's your problem. So that's interesting for the MFTs to be telling Solo what to do. Solo's on the outs with the MFTs. And Solo shouldn't let that stand even. Solo should not let that stand. So they either need to completely break apart from each other or Solo needs to reassert his dominance over the MFTs. Because last time I looked, he was supposed to be the leader. If you don't want him to be the leader, then just have him just leave. Let them fully get away from each other because they literally are telling them stay back here. Even Talatunga, who's the muscle, he's telling the leader what to do now. So you got the MFTs versus Damian Priest, R-Truth. At one point, Solo just appears, and then Talatunga's like, "What are you doing, man? I told you to stay back." And then that will cause Talatunga to get hurt, and because Damian Priest attacks him, Talatunga sees this, and then it's a roll-up victory by R-Truth. And they win, which then makes the MFTs look at Solo and be like, "We told you to stay. We told you to stay back there, man." And Solo's like, "I didn't really do anything." And Solo really didn't do anything wrong here. He really didn't do anything wrong here. Of all the people, Solo Sikoa has always looked out for his MFTs. He's never really treated them wrong. Other than Jimmy Uso, when he first took over the Bloodline, and Paul Heyman, he treated those guys wrong, but he always treated the people that he brought in, the Talatunga, the Tungaloa, the JC Mateo, hate that name, Tamatunga, and even Jacob Fatu. For the most part, he always treated them really well. And so for them to be turning on him like this, it's kind of like, just go off on your own, Solo. You don't need this. You would be a better babyface anyways. You're super funny. So, yeah, we got that going on. Jacob will later tell him also, or Solo will eventually say to Jacob, who was watching Jey Uso later, he's like, "Just leave me alone, man. You came on the show to undermine me." So we got this really slow burn going on, but Solo did threaten to go to Raw. He did threaten to go to Raw to mess with Roman's family since he's getting messed with. So we shall see there. Hopefully he does go to Raw. I do want Solo there. Nick Aldis and Sami, they yell at each other. Carmelo Hayes, Ricky Saints. So they had their, I think this is their best of three. They had one win apiece, and then there was one tie, a double count out. So this one was to determine who Trick Williams will face at Night of Champions. I wish Trick was here. I hate that a lot of times Triple H will take a red hot character, he'll give them the belt, and then they get taken off TV. I think Trick Williams, honestly, he won the title, right? He won the title, and leading into winning the title and defending the title 1 month after Mania, he was smoking hot. And he should be even hotter now with the title and momentum, but it seems like we're pulling back on Trick Williams, and I don't like that at all. Less is not always less, or less is not always more. Sometimes less is less. We need to be seeing Trick Williams all the time. The guy is entertaining as all get out. Please give us more Trick Williams. That said, Carmelo Hayes, Ricky Saints, they had a good match. They had a decent match. This was probably their best match. Surprise, surprise. If you remember, their first couple matches, they had a lot of botches in it. But once you let wrestlers actually get used to each other and have multiple matches, well, their matches flow a lot better. And they didn't have any real botches this time around. And that is the argument on why you should continue to have house shows. Because then they wouldn't botch on TV. They could do all the botches in front of no TV house shows. But regardless, we, apparently right now, it's every show must have the turnbuckle exposed and must play into the finish. And that happened here. Now, to be fair, Carmelo Hayes, he accidentally ripped off the turnbuckle, and Ricky Saints actually never sees the turnbuckle exposed, but it does come into play. One time he knocks Carmelo off the top rope, and, basically, his privates get, smashed on the turnbuckle, so that hurts, and then his face will get knocked into it as well, I believe, and that will allow Ricky Saints to get the victory. Ricky Saints needed this victory. I don't like not giving the victory to Carmelo Hayes, but if this allows Carmelo and Trick to be at SummerSlam, totally cool. Ricky wins, but he won fair and square because he never knew that the turnbuckle was exposed. So Ricky does win. Jade Cargill had a bunch of interactions throughout the night. First, she challenges Tiffany Stratton, and then later we'll see Tiffany Stratton accept the challenge. I really liked this. So Tiffany Stratton accepts the challenge, but then Chelsea Green comes up and it's like, "What are you doing? Where have you been?" And Tiffany's like, "Okay, why are you trying to be my friend? For the last year, you've watched me get beat up and you made fun of me." And Chelsea's like, "No, I didn't." She's like, "Well, tacky time," and then Chelsea Green was like, "Oh yeah, but that was kind of funny." And so now Tiffany Stratton explains why she doesn't want to be Chelsea Green's friend, and now it makes sense. It makes total sense, and I'm actually glad. See, that's all I need in my storytelling, because before it was like, Tiffany's kind of being a jerk to Chelsea Green, but now we know why she's being a jerk to Chelsea Green, and it makes total sense because in 2 sentences they explained it. And I'm all for that now, because now it pays off the viewer for watching for the last year, because you know what? She was calling her tacky time and all these things. So, like, good job Triple H, with the opening segment and explaining why Tiffany Stratton doesn't want to have anything to do with Chelsea Green. We also had a Blake Monroe promo. A lot of people in my live chat were kind of like voicing their displeasure with, "Oh, here we go again, another Blake Monroe vignette," and this time she was calling out Julia. She's called out Rhea Ripley. She's called out Julia, Tiffany Stratton, not Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. And I actually like this. I like this because, you know what? She's getting a lot more character work in these promos, and you're like, well, when are we going to see her wrestle? I mean, we'll see her wrestle eventually. This reminds me of when Mr. Perfect, Razor Ramon, had all these vignettes before, months before they actually wrestled. So I'm okay. I am personally okay with this. So no problems there. Then what do we have? We have our 2 King and Queen of the Ring matches. So we can talk about that. We'll go to the main event. We got Charlotte Flair. She is going out, and she gets confronted by Jade Cargill, and Jade is like all over the place. Jade is feuding right now, like with Rhea, kind of, sort of, with Tiffany Stratton and with Charlotte, and she's like, you're only here because, well, you know, Tiffy Time helped you and your friend. She's like, she's not my friend. And then they attacked Charlotte Flair. I like that they attacked her. I don't like the villains to just be like, "Oh, we hate you," and then walk away. No, attack. And she did attack, so good job there. But I don't know. I think I totally understand, you know, the baby face. The baby face is injured and still gonna go and fight, you know, and put up a good show. What a baby face. What a hero. So I'm okay with that, but I think they took it a little too far. It was like 20 minutes of just Charlotte Flair getting beat up. The doctors saying, "Oh, you should stop this match." We got Nick Aldis saying you should stop this match. The fact that they brought in doctors and Nick Aldis saying you should stop this match, they should have stopped the match. Just don't do that. Just don't do that, because it's like, by them, like, they have the power to stop the match. So just don't have them there. Have Charlotte just struggle throughout the entire match without Nick Aldis or the doctors. That said, she fought Liv Morgan, who's, I think, at day 62 or 3 of not ever defending her title. And what I think they should have done was, the moment Liv Morgan saw Charlotte injured, she should have said, "You know what? I'm a fighting champion," because she's not, but she's a heel, so she can say stuff like that. She should have said, "I'm a fighting champion, so I'm going to put my belt on the line tonight, along with our opportunity at the Queen of the Ring." That would have solved the problem of Liv Morgan never defending her title. It would have shown her to be even just a total jerk for doing something like that. And then when she won, she could say, "I defended against the great Charlotte Flair." But they didn't do that. Anyways, so this match is just pretty much beating up Charlotte. Every once in a while, she gets her flurries of victories. They have one more time outside where they're like, "You gotta stop." And Charlotte's like, "No, I won't. She gets in the ring, oblivion, she kicks out. But then we get into, I think, a half Boston Crab, and Charlotte actually taps out. So she loses, and Liv Morgan gets a big victory. Very happy that they give it to Liv, because, like, holy cow, that would have been a burial. Kind of like how Oba buried the AAA title. People like last week were so mad at me for saying that Oba should not be able to beat Dominic Mysterio, but I never said that. I said I'm okay with Oba beating Dominic Mysterio. I'm not okay with him beating the AAA champion. Like, people couldn't separate the two. But like, I would have been super mad if Charlotte Flair had beaten the women's world champion, especially after such a hurt knee. I don't mind a healthy Charlotte Flair beating Liv Morgan, but I do mind an injured wrestler beating the women's world champion in such a manner. So I'm very happy that they gave it to Liv Morgan. I don't think that this should have been the main event of the evening because, I don't know, that the injury angle throughout the match really bogged it down, but I understood why they couldn't have Cody and Gunther at the end, because they did that second match. The second match prevented it from being the main event. Then we also had one more big time match. This was actually before Charlotte and Liv Morgan, and this probably should have been the main event. Because of, but in all honesty, they did the injury angle again. It was Javon Evans versus Jey Uso. They didn't meet earlier in the night, and Javon was like, "Hey, Unk, like, good luck." And then Jey got mad about that, being called Unk, and I guess I could see why. Yeah, 23-year-old talking to you're 40, you probably feel a little like, you're probably, it's like, it's 10 o'clock, you probably want to be in bed. I know I do when I'm 40, and I'm 46, so I like, yeah, whatever. But so he's like, "Okay, son, I'm going to beat you." So they have a match, and the match revolves around Javon keep holding his ribs because on Monday Night Raw, he was speared by Braun Breaker. And so, like, it's revealed, Jey takes off the shirt, and he's taped up. So we have both King and Queen of the Ring matches back to back where the losing person is injured. They are injured prior to the match. So like that kind of took away from the Charlotte match, actually, because they came after. But so I didn't like that. We used the same exact story beat for both of your King and Queen of the Ring stuff. But if Jey will win, I understand why Jey won. I do, on paper. Jey's a WrestleMania winner, a Royal Rumble winner. So, like, it makes sense. It makes sense. I know a lot of people are going to crash out because Jey won, and he's part of the bloodline, and I would maybe if Javon had The Rock as a cousin. I know what people are going to say already, but I understand Jey winning. I just wish that they would have, Jacob Fatu was there. I wish that Roman would have told Jacob on Raw, "Hey, go make sure Jey wins." And then all we had to do was have Jacob, tongue and death grip him for like 3 seconds, super kick, 1, 2, 3. Like, I understand, though. I'm not saying it ruined the match. I get why Jey won. I just wish we would have just done a little more to allow Jey to win, And then maybe Jey could have even been mad. What, you don't think I could have won on my own? Come on, Roman, I could have won on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could have just done something more with it. Javon Evans, I don't want him to become the guy that just almost always wins. That said, we do have a show of respect at the end where Jey lifts the hand of Javon. It was all right. It was a slower match than usual for Javon, but they were telling the story of him being injured. Overall, I did like this SmackDown. I thought the end hour, I thought things were out of sequence, and they should have, if they would have rearranged the show, it probably would have been a little better. But at the end of the day, that first 30 to 40 minutes was just solid stuff. I really enjoyed myself. I'm gonna give this SmackDown, I'll give it an 8. How about that? How about a solid 8? Maybe a 7.9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. Go leave a hot take, and I will. We'll just keep this Wrestle Chop channel going. I don't know why I said that, but boys, girls, see you. Bye.